If you are visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book. Also, members and friends, to help folks connect, remember to wear your name tag with your pronoun stickers. If you need a new name tag, you can request that in the living room. Child care for children under the age of 5 is available in our playroom, located in the lower level of the RE building across the alley. Youngsters are welcome to join the playgroup when the older children are sung out to RE. But please know that all ages may remain in the service. All voices are welcome here. You are invited to stay after the service for coffee downstairs in the Alice Warren room. Visitors and newer folks are invited to pick up a green mug so that we know to welcome you and to get to know you better. May each of you know you are welcome in this house of peace, and may our worship and fellowship this morning touch your heart, mind, and spirit. Welcome to our celebration of community. Our music today will be provided by Jamie Pastman and the Celebration Singers, directed by Julia Beckman. There is always a lot going on around the church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes, which arrives in your inbox every Friday, and there are printed copies available. If you would like to receive News and Notes, stop by the welcome table in the back.
Thank you, Megan, and good morning, everyone. I'm the Reverend Dr. Beth Johnson. My pronouns are she, they, and I want to welcome you to this service, add my welcome to that of Megan's, and a deep appreciation to the choir, to Jamie Passman, our director of music, to Julia Beckman, who's our choir director, and Carolyn May, who have helped us create this beautiful music service. So thank you for all your music and all your contributions. Speaking of contributions, in this congregation, we acknowledge that we're interconnected, that we care not only for our congregation, but for the wider world and for our immediate community. So each month we share our undesignated collection with a local nonprofit. We have been, how many of you are familiar with Beds Plus? Many of you are, because if you come here frequently, you may have also donated shelf-stable items for Beds Plus. So I'm excited that this month our plate share is with Beds Plus. So I'm going to invite Tina up from Beds Plus to talk to us about it a little bit more. Come on up, Tina.
Is it okay if I move this up?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. My name's Tina Rounds. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the CEO of Beds Plus. Thank you for the church for continuing our partnership and for inviting me to speak for a few moments today. Your community of faith has been an important partnership with us for several years, providing shelf-stable meals and volunteer service. Faith communities like the Hinsdale Unitarian Universalist Church have helped sustain the agency's operations for more than 40 years. And churches like yours have really helped infuse the ecumenical origins of the organization and helped in the community with the day-to-day work of feeding and helping the poor. As many of you know, the mission of Beds Plus is to stabilize the lives of people facing homelessness through housing and supportive services. We are part of a larger network of regional nonprofit organizations doing this same work, and our focus is on the South and Southwest Cook County. We do this through 5 different lines of service, a robust financial assistance program that gives out about $1 million annually to help people with back rent, utility assistance, and other financial assistance. We have approximately 300 units of transitional shelter, which provides up to 4 years of assistance for individuals that are survivors of intimate partner violence who were recently released from incarceration. I almost said incarnation. Nope. Asylum seekers and the severely mentally ill. This year, we created a youth and family line of service to support our housing navigation work with DCFS-involved families, and expanded our transition age youth program for youth-led family households, as well as people between the ages of 18 and 24. We have about 215 permanent supportive housing units, including several fixed-site owned buildings, as well as inconspicuously scattered master leased units throughout the community. And finally, we provide approximately 200 beds of crisis housing or shelter in 2 master lease motels, a 30-bed medical respite program, and 25 units of master lease bridge apartments. The Unitarian Church has faithfully supported our crisis line of service, particularly our motel-based shelter through meals, and I'd like to just spend a few minutes emphasizing what crisis housing or shelter is, as we embark on an important $10 million campaign to transform a troublesome roadside motel into a state-of-the-art shelter in Burbank, Illinois. Crisis housing meets the most basic human needs during emergency or critical transition for people who are vulnerable. Crisis housing is at the intersection of so many different systems of care and ensures that households have adequate and continuous connection to those essential services. Crisis housing is a landing place for clients such as struggling families in local schools, young adults escaping a toxic, fragmented, and unaccepting household, people healing from surgery or discharge from the local hospital ER, individuals fleeing violence, homeless people who are at the intersection of a caring law enforcement officer and a cold day like we saw this cities. Through acts of kindness and generosity of your faith community, we provide, as I had mentioned, 200 beds of crisis housing, and in my opinion, it's really a moral obligation of our society to care for these many vulnerable people that live right amongst us as neighbors. As a system of care, the homeless sector has seen many significant changes based on the pandemic and essential federal pass-through dollars that came to us, thankfully, through the pandemic. Now we need to work even closer together to help preserve this system and expand this system of care to meet future anticipated need. It's no secret that the consequences of drastic federal budget cuts will leave the poor, vulnerable, and homeless without services and the resources they need to change their circumstances and even to survive. We know that this will hit hardest with women, and especially people of color, who are comprised of 68% of the people that were accessing these services within beds. Thank you for the help that your church provides us as an agency and the care that you provide to the community in the form of donations to many nonprofits. If this work speaks to you, or I'd like to invite you to get more involved, or to learn a little bit more about our shelter, Future of Shelter campaign, which I have some brochures for. I'd be delighted to speak with you. So Merry Christmas and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Tina. I'm continually inspired by this work and inspired by this congregation's continuing support of the work. And later on in the service, we'll receive our offering. And so you can be thinking about the capacity you have for generosity in sharing. And you can also, throughout the month, donate online through our website. So thank you, Tina. And thank you to Lou and Mary Getty and people who've been organizing volunteers in our congregation. This is really good work, and we're very happy to be in partnership with you. Thanks for coming today. And you'll be joining us for coffee after the service. Great. I have one quick announcement, and that is that the holiday time, we invite you to make a donation of a poinsettia in honor or memory of someone. Look for an email this week or email the office, and next week we'll have another way to sign up. So, take a breath with me. Oh, yeah, we needed that, right? Do you want to take another breath? Yeah. Hearing about the needs in our community, knowing that we're called to serve those needs in whatever way possible, sometimes our breath is taken away from us as we consider all that the need. And so we breathe and begin this service by acknowledging that we in the western suburbs inhabit areas that are the traditional territories of indigenous peoples, including the Kickapoo, Peoria, Potawatomi, and others. As a congregation trying to live into a more just world, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the history and legacy of colonialism, the harm done to Native peoples, and also to work to repair that harm. It is good work. And it is good to be together. Again, our service this morning is called Music as a Means of Grace. We had a great time picking out songs for the choir, hymns that we would sing. And our opening song is one that may seem counterintuitive to the times that we're living through. So when I pick a song, "Now Let Us Sing," what is the intention behind that? Remembering that the words are, "Now let us sing to faith, hope, love, and joy." Because, beloveds, in this time, the world needs our faith, the world needs our hope, the world needs our love, the world needs our joy, and I believe that the world needs us to sing. So I invite you. Singer, teacher Gina Sala wrote, "You can sing, and your voice is a one-of-a-kind, powerful instrument to help us experience our freedom and awakening, connection, integration, and joy. Throughout time and in all cultures, people have used their voices to heal, to feel united, to grieve, to empower, to celebrate. Our voices can help us consciously experience the union of apparent opposites: spirit, matter, ourselves, and other. Our voices are healing instruments, instruments of connection, joy, transformation, authentic expression of the heart, playfulness, and beauty. Chanting and singing can let the mind rest in the heart and help us wake up to who we are. Our voices lead us to those places of compassion, and love arises naturally. Life gets better. There is pleasure and power in singing. So this morning, as we gather, we will sing. We will allow ourselves to feel that connection that music causes us, not only to experience, but also that awakens us. It is good to be together. For our chalice lighting this morning, we have a chalice lighting song. The song harkens back to the year 2002 when I was in my internship church, and I was planning a service called Music as a Means of Grace with the blues musician Clave Hangin and another member of the congregation, Bill McClellan, who is a musician and a process philosopher. You can imagine the conversations that we had as we planned the service. And then they said, we need a chalice lighting song. And this chalice lighting song is the result of that. They graciously gave me some credit simply because I added some words and was present when they came up with it. So we're going to go ahead and sing and invite, we're going to sing it through 2 times. No worries, the choir is going to sing it through once. Yeah, the choir is going to sing it through once. Thanks. Yeah, go ahead.
Are we ready? 1, 2, 3.
And now for our Time for All Ages, I invite up our Director of Programs, Pam Fodor, who has a very special Time for All Ages. Pam, I'm sorry, I'm not joining you down. Well,
Okay, so this was my biggest fear today, that there wouldn't be that many children to do this with me. Of course, since it's, Music Sunday, I couldn't read a story. I had to do a song, but I really don't want to do it by myself. So are there any young at heart folks that would like to come up and do this with me? Please? Oh, yay. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yay. Okay. Oh, be careful. Okay, all right. All right. So we're going to do the hokey pokey, right? All right. So everybody knows the hokey pokey. You put your right hand in, you put your right hand out. Okay. But we're going to do not the regular hokey pokey, but the you pokey. So we're going to put our open minds in. We're going to put our helping hands in. And we're going to put our loving heart in. Okay? All right, so here we go. Okay. Is he gonna play? Okay. Hang on. All right. You put your open mind in, you put your open mind out. Put your loving heart in, you put your loving heart out, you put your loving heart in. Put your whole self in, put your whole self out, put your whole self in, and you shake it all out. You turn yourself around.
Check 1, 2.
all right, we're going to sing out to class.
Don't sing it.
No, I'm sorry. Pam said no. Thank you, Pam. And I just want to acknowledge all of you brave souls who got up and decided to do that. That was fun. All right.
Next week, we're doing the Macarena. So.
One of the joys of doing the service was having conversations with people about what music meant to them and its role in their lives. And so I'm just through a conversation with Aileen Polikoff, one of our newest members, what she had to say about music and the congregation just motivated me to invite her to come up and share with us. Thanks, Aileen.
I'm Eileen Polikoff. Over the last year and a half, I have had a number of heartfelt in-person meetings with Reverend Beth. All of these meetings have involved the two of us sitting in her office across from one another, having long conversations. The therapeutic nature of these talks is hard to put into words. At our last meeting in October, Reverend Beth asked me, "Why did you start singing with the Celebration Singers?" When I gave her my answer, she asked me to share this with all of you. But first I need to tell the backstory to all of this. In 1992, my husband died of stage 4 brain tumors. He was 47 at the time. I was 41, and our sons were 7 and 12. Given the daunting nature of the situation, I set myself 2 goals. One was to raise, educate, and launch my sons, and the other was to hold on to my job. Luckily, I was able to meet those goals. In 2003, I was introduced to Tom Duda by a coworker and friend of mine, who was a former coworker and friend of Tom's. He thought we would hit it off for a number of reasons. Both lawyers, both widowed at a very young age, both had raised children alone in our family homes, both liberal thinking, and both very independent. For the next 21 years, we were always together. We traveled all over the U.S. and overseas and went to concerts, plays, lectures, museums, pro games. We even took dancing lessons for years. We spent holidays and birthdays together. 3 years ago, Tom was suddenly diagnosed with a terminal, inoperable, stage 4 cancer. He died in October of this year. Because I had just retired, I had the time to take Tom to many of his appointments and to help him with other matters as he became more and more helpless. As time went on and Tom got worse, I kept adding positive elements to my life to offset the deep sadness I was feeling. I added more yoga classes. I started taking meditation classes at the Wellness Center. I took longer walks. I talked to Reverend Beth. I joined 2 different senior groups that went to plays and museums, things that I would have done in the past with Tom, but he was too frail. I spent more time with friends and family. I talked to Reverend Beth. In October of 2023, I had a really bad day with Tom. I had taken him in for a chemo infusion that lasted 7 hours. I was in this little room with him the entire time. He was really frail and really weak, and this was the beginning of a big downturn. I was in the room with him, trying to be optimistic, although I wasn't optimistic. I was talking to my younger son that night, and I told him, "I feel like I'm a wreck." He asked me, "Mom, tell me something you like to do." So I said, "I like singing along in the church." I hung up with him, and I called Julia. That was a Friday night, and that Sunday, I started singing with the singers. As to my love of live music, When I was about 10 years old, my mother took me downtown to see The Music Man, a live musical with Robert Preston, of course. I was mesmerized. Over the course of my lifetime, I have seen numerous musicals, downtown, in the suburbs, in other cities. Sometimes I'm left in tears, like when I saw Ragtime. Other times I'm rocked to my core, like when I saw Hadestown. Other times I'm just mentally dancing, like when I saw Grease. As to concerts, my first was Peter, Paul, and Mary when I was in 7th grade. My second was Johnny Mathis in 8th grade. I thought he was so dreamy, as did my girlfriends. My last big one was my dream come true, Barbra Streisand, right before the pandemic. Her lead-on singer that night was Ariana Grande. In high school, I saw Motown groups like the Four Tops, the Temptations. I saw Dionne Warwick. In college, I diversified my tastes more and saw everything from Gordon Lightfoot to Richie Havens, so great, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Joan Baez, Creedence Clearwater, Ike and Tina Turner, and B.B. King. After college, I even broadened my tastes in music and went to chamber music, choral music, operas, symphonies, instrumentals, jazz, bluegrass. I saw Pavarotti do a one-man show, Mandy Patinkin singing all in Yiddish, James Taylor, Judy Collins. I saw Miranda Lambert when her fiancé, Blake Shelton, came on and sang with her. I saw Audra McDonald doing a tribute to Stephen Sondheim, and I saw Tony Bennett 3 years in a row because I thought he was so great. The feelings I get in these experiences are always the same. A profound love for the craft, a profound gratitude for the experience. So, thank you, Julia. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Celebration Singers. And thank you, Reverend Beth.
We have to let her take her place, and then we're going to sing with her. Thank you. Sorry, Carol. We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. Please join in our offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with people around us, and with all the world. Thank you in advance.
Technology. You need some lithium crystals. What the? I can't make it work. Okay, I can talk about it. 1, 2. I need my microphone. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. What that video is I cry every time I see it. It's a man with Alzheimer's who no one has been able to speak to or reach for about 3 years. And the nurse there, she's walking towards him. She puts on a pair of headphones on this gentleman who's about 90 years old and plays music from his past. And the gentleman literally comes to life, speaking, dancing, singing for the first time in what she says is 5 years. They haven't been able to reach him in any way possible. Oh, no? Okay. So, Amazing Grace. how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. In music, the word grace applies to but a simple note, known as a grace note. And there's a lovely Italian word for it, appoggiatura. Yeah, I know, cool, huh? But it's not really that simple, actually, as the grace note is really a combination of two different things. A very simple note, plus, and importantly for our purposes here, an embellishment or an adornment. Let me give you an example. Unadorned. Adorned. In classical music, the adornment is generally, and in jazz, the adornment is normally two things, but very similar, actually. Viewed from the musical, there is a poignant, wonderful intersectionality in the definition of grace as a musical term and as the more familiar word that we sometimes apply to life. By definition, to receive grace is to receive an embellishment or one's more mundane state of existence. In many ways, an adornment to the more mundane state we live in. And so the simple musical note and the simple human being receive grace in a similar form, an adornment to enrich the simple and the mundane. But that adornment is only a means of grace, and the argument I'd like to make today to you is that music is actually grace itself. How was music able to function in such a miraculous way, restoring joy and communication for the wonderful gentleman, which I wish we could have seen in the video? Well, vaguely remembering how I used to function as a student, I went straight to the definition of grace, of course. You might be surprised to learn, and at least I really was, that within the definition of grace comes the crucial concept that grace is unmerited. Unmerited. Somehow I had always mistakenly believed one had to keep the sinning below some sort of threshold to even hope for a bit of grace. But I've been spurred on to this thought journey thanks to Reverend Beth, and thanks to her, I now know I've got a shot for some grace too. Actually, we all do, and without fulfilling some religious quota, etc. But through this idea, I realized something else too. If unmerited, music itself becomes more than an adornment, it becomes grace itself. As a good UU, I'm always on the lookout for the universal, what traits we, the children of Stardust, might share. If empathy and love is what we seek to share, that love can be intensified in the discovery of the universal, the shared similar joys of all, the beat we all move to, the music of the spheres, if you will. Now, having spent a lifetime studying and practicing music, I can tell you that taken solely from an academic point of view, music is actually a very abstract thing. It's truly an inexhaustible subject that is a lifetime deep, so challenging that to be a good musician is to know that you will never actually play as well as you would hope to. It is the continual pursuit of a goal that will never actually be realized. This is why musicians like me are peculiar people. They chase something that they never catch. I only say this to point out what a complex, abstract thing music can be and is. But here comes the meritless miracle. The miracle of music is that it reveals a universality between all people very much worth celebrating. Without a day of music class or a day of music study, 99.9% of people, tiny babies included, will, if they hear a rhythm, will start to dance immediately, maybe in their own way, but they'll start to dance and move. We all know that rhythm moves us to dance, but perhaps more miraculous is a universally shared response to the harmonic content of music. If you didn't know, music is really but a series of tension and release, and in Amazing Grace, it would be this. Tension, Here's the tension. This chord doesn't want to stay there. It wants to go somewhere else, right? It wants to go there. The crucially shared universality for all of us is in reaction to rhythm and harmony, a meritless ability shared by all, and it is grounds for celebration. Even your polar political opposite is just like you in at least this way, and through universality we can come greater love for the other. It is just a little easier to give your love to someone who is singing with you. If we can agree that music brings adornment and embellishment to our lives, then we can view the shared innate ability to understand music as a people as grace itself. We share the universal here, and nobody told us how. It's a miracle and a big deal as it points a way to love and to peace. And that this innate ability extends to advanced Alzheimer's patients when all other capacities to them are lost, and that dignity can still be conferred to them somehow through this abstract form of communication, well, that is truly grace, and that is truly a miracle. Thank you.
He's going to give us the grace of his accompaniment with our next piece. This is If Music Be the Food of Love. What a joy it has been, as you've heard me say 3 times now, to been creating this service with our wonderful musicians. Jeannie, thank you for your reflection. So powerful. and Julia for the choir, and Carolyn for your playing, and all of you whose hearts beat with the rhythm that Jamie talked about, the one that is in and through all of us. The philosopher Alfred North Whitehead, speaking of abstractions, said, "Religion cannot exist before music. It is too abstract." Music comes before religion, as emotion comes before thought, and sound before sense. Music provides the very fabric of our lives. Can you imagine a life without music? Without the songs that stir your soul, break your heart, pulse through your body, as Aileen shared beautifully with us of your experience of music in your life. Thank you for that. Music can transport us to that state of blissful consciousness, sustain us as we work, motivate us as we march for justice. I think a life without music would be unbearable. I don't know about you, but my life has a soundtrack similar to Aileen. My mother sang special songs to us as to her children that she made up to Irish tunes to me, my sister, and my brother. My sister, Mary Ellen's song was to the tune of Galway Bay. Patty's song was to the tune of Danny Boy. I don't know what tune was for my song, but I can still hear Mama gently cooing to me slightly off key. Sweet Bethy Ann, my Bethy Ann, you mean the world and more to me. You are my joy, my pride and joy, your mama's sweet Beth Ann. I haven't heard my mother sing that song in decades, but I remember the words and I remember the tune sung slightly off key, just like Mama, and I am embraced with the love that carried me through my life. My mama loved to music and she loved to dance. She danced all the time. I remember her dancing in the living room to Bad Bad Leroy Brown. We danced together at an Alano club to the song In the Mood. And after that, we went to an all-night blues club in the city, and that was the day before she had a devastating stroke. Mama was also planning music for her life. She told the story that as a Catholic, you know, we were expected to use our envelopes for the offering, and one day the new pastor was in town and sending out letters to folks letting them know, and Mama got a letter that said, "We haven't received your envelope." And then he hinted things that were a little disturbing to Mama, kind of about the sacraments. So Mama penned a letter back to him and said, "Dear Pastor, thank you for your letter. You're right, I don't use the envelopes. And as for the sacraments, I've been baptized and confirmed. I've been married. I don't think I'm going to do it again. And as far as my funeral, I would just be happy if I had a New Orleans jazz band playing when the Saints go marching in." A week or so later, the doorbell rang. It was the pastor. Mama opened the door and they burst out laughing. That pastor wondered a little bit what I had planned when I said I wanted bagpipers at Mama's funeral, but it all worked out. My earliest memory is marching around our dining room table to 76 trombones.
Me too.
Are you serious?
That was the first one. Whoa, that's so weird.
We're together, Jamie.
Yeah, we are in sync today.
We are. Jimi Hendrix defined my adolescence, and to this day, I'm transported by a blues rock guitar solo. My first concert was Johnny Winter at the Aragon Ballroom, and I told my folks I was going bowling. I should be a really award-winning bowler by now. Enya drew me into the depth of my Celtic heritage. At any given moment, I have a song going on in my head, whether I'm chanting the names of God, engaging in ecstatic dance, driving down the road, singing poor people's campaign songs, or now recently singing with Songs for Liberation here in Chicago at protests and gatherings. We cannot have movements for justice, y'all, without having music. Right? I am not afraid. I am not afraid. I will die for liberation because I know why I was made. It's one of my favorite chants. There's always music, and when it's not playing, I hear it in my soul. UU theologian James Luther Adam provided the inspiration for this service with an essay entitled Music as a Means of Grace. In the essay, he quotes Plato, the gods who have been appointed in our companions in the dance has given us the pleasurable sense of harmony and rhythm. So they stir us to life. We follow them, joining together in dances and songs. He goes on, what a mysterious, almost fantastic action is the creation and appreciation of music. In its purest form, music is not a representational, but rather a non-objective, non-verbal word. An occasion for immediacy of experience, he writes, a non-reducible mode of beauty, of contrast and resolution, of order and ecstasy flowing through and beyond the order. Music redefines, illumines, orders our experience. He said it's not an escape from reality, it's rather a discovery of the center of meaning and power, of a center that is a symptom and a sign of faith. Ultimately, not a human achievement, but a gift of grace. As Jamie spoke about, you're in good company with theologians, Jamie.
And 76 trombones.
That's right. Throughout time and in all cultures, people have used their voices to heal. Children, as Jamie talked about, dance with abandon. There is nothing I love more than being in church and a song is going on, or there's not, and the kid just has it in their head and they're dancing down the aisles, and I don't care if I'm talking. Without self-consciousness, do you remember that level of abandon and unself-consciousness? We adults learned that, and I would love us to always dance and be with abandon. Even if we don't think we have rhythm, somehow, as Jamie said, our bodies respond to music. We've been invited today into the rhythm of music and an opening of the grace that music brings us. In her book, Travel and Mercies, Anne Lamott describes a poignant scene in which a man dying of AIDS, Lamott writes, I can't imagine anything but music that could have brought about this alchemy. Maybe it's because music is about as physical as it gets. Your essential rhythm is your heartbeat, your essential sound, the breath. We're walking temples of noise, and when you add tender hearts to the mix, it somehow lets us meet in places we couldn't get to any other way. How wonderfully Lamott and Jamie and Aileen and Julia and Carolyn and the singers and all of you remind us of the ability of music to transform our hearts and our minds, to move us to deeper community, to greater justice, and always to love. Always, beloveds, to love. Because when we ask the question, Why do we sing? It is for love. Y'all, harmony, building bridges. We're going to extinguish our chalice. If you know the words, I invite you to join me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of this community, nor the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all of the world. Beloveds, as you leave from this place, may you leave knowing the song in your heart is what connects you each to each. May you go with hearts beating for justice, with a love that will never break place with us and never will. And may you allow, now I don't have the words to the slide right now, y'all, because the slides aren't working, but you know this song. And join us for When the Saints Come Marching In as our closing music. Invite you to rise in body or in spirit.